So in the past, I would use a lot of these type of activities that you see here to introduce or have my students practice grammar skills. So here's an example for proper nouns. I would maybe introduce proper nouns with a song or a video. I would have students practice proper nouns with worksheets where they have to find the proper noun that's not capitalized and capitalize it correctly in the blank, or a center activity where they sort common and proper nouns. And although these are all super great activities and engaging for students, and my students would do great on them and perform well, and I'd think they understood proper nouns, I'd find that when I looked at their writing, they weren't using proper nouns, or maybe they were using them but weren't capitalizing them. And I just didn't find that the grammar skills we were teaching and practicing were transferring to their writing. And that's when I knew I had to find a better way to teach grammar that would ensure application of skills to my students' writing. So it's important to always remember our goal for teaching grammar. And I'm assuming for you, it is like for me, to help our students become better writers and more effective communicators. And we need to make sure that all of our grammar instruction is oriented around this goal to help our students become better writers. And if the activities we're using aren't helping our students achieve this goal, then we can probably ditch them or at least minimize how many of those activities we're doing. So there are two different approaches that you can have when you're teaching grammar. There's an isolated approach and an integrated approach to teaching grammar. So let me explain the characteristics of each. In an isolated approach, grammar is taught as a separate subject from reading and writing. Grammar terms and rules are taught at the beginning of a grammar lesson. Grammar instruction primarily consists of skill practice with workbooks, games, and other activities where students correct grammatical errors. And grammar is assessed by having students identify or correct errors or through multiple choice tests. In an integrated approach to teaching grammar, grammar instruction is integrated into your writing block. Students discover grammar terms and rules by observing them in writing. Grammar instruction primarily consists of authentic writing activities where students are applying grammar skills, and grammar is assessed with authentic assessments where students apply targeted grammar skills in a written response. So which approach do you think you use more in your classroom? If you're anything like me, you've probably used more of an isolated approach. I did this for years and I realized it wasn't totally effective, and that's when I learned through my research that an integrated approach is definitely more beneficial for seeing application of grammar skills in our students' writing. Let me explain some of the problems with an isolated approach to teaching grammar. First of all, research has found that it hinders learners' abilities to see how grammar is used for communication, which remember is our whole goal for teaching grammar in the first place. Drills using isolated sentences often eliminate the context of grammar within writing, which can make learning grammar irrelevant to students. Correcting grammatically flawed sentences reinforces bad writing by etching wrongness into students' minds. And this one especially stands out to me because if you think about your grammar exercises, a lot of them are asking students to correct errors in their writing. But this can actually have a negative effect of reinforcing bad writing rather than showing how grammar is used to enhance writing. The benefits of an integrated approach, according to research, is that embedding grammar within authentic writing can maximize grammar development. Embedding grammar instruction in the context of writing helps learners effectively comprehend the structures and rules of language because they are seeing how it is used in the context of writing. And students learn to see grammar as a meaning-making resource for them to draw upon when writing. So it's very important that our students see how grammar is a tool to add meaning and clarity to writing. It's purposeful, and we really want to communicate that to our students. It's not just a bunch of exercises where we correct sentences, but rather grammar is a tool that authors use to enhance their writing and make meaning more clear to their readers. So now the question becomes, how do we practically teach and assess grammar skills in the context of writing? And now I'm going to explain the 5-day routine that you can use to teach any grammar skill. And each day of this routine only takes 10 to 15 minutes and is super easy to implement. So here's a visual flow chart of the 5-day grammar routine. On day 1, you would introduce the skill with a mentor sentence. On day 2, you would create an anchor chart to explain the skill. On day 3, your students would practice the skill by writing imitation sentences. On day 4, you would reinforce the skill with a supplemental activity like boom cards. And day 5, you would have your students revise and edit the skill and then assess for the skill. So each of these mini lessons, again, only takes 10 to 15 minutes, takes 5 days to work through one skill, and then you move on and use the same routine for the next grammar skill you're teaching.